What's up, y'all? This is Marlon Saunders. Welcome to the Marlon Saunders Show. I'm excited to be here another Saturday. It's going to be a great show. We have a great show planned for you. We're going to have some fun over this Father's Day weekend. Pretty relaxed. I have some very special guests in the room with me. Some very special guests. I'll introduce them in a minute. Before we get to that, as always, I want to say good morning, good afternoon. Thank you all from LA to DC for listening, for tuning in. Listen. Tell somebody to make sure they tune in today. It's going to be a pretty good show, pretty enlightening. Usually I come on with a lot more excitement and I'm a lot more jovial and jubilistic and celebratory and all of those things. But after the events that transpired on Wednesday, I'm a little down, in my spirit a little bit. My heart is actually a lot of it. My heart is just kind of mourning. And by now, certainly everybody all over our country, at least, if not all over the world, knows what has happened with the young man who walked into Emmanuel African and Methodist Episcopal Church there in Charleston, South Carolina, walked into a Bible study, which coincidentally, we also have our Bible studies at Valencia Christian Center on Wednesday night, as do many churches across the country. So it could have been any of our Bible studies. It could have been any of our churches. It could have been any of us. This young man walks into a Bible study and sits there for an hour. And I read earlier today, actually told law enforcement officials that he almost did not go through with it. Of course, almost doesn't count, but he almost did not go through with it because the people at the church were so nice to him. But he did go through with it, and what that going through with it was he proceeded to murder people in church in Bible study. It has caused a disgust. This horrific tragedy has left many of us just speechless and searching for what do we do? What do we do? I have a lot to say, and I'm monitoring my words today on the show only because tomorrow in church I'm going to roll out this call to action plan that I believe God has given me, and then I will present the plan to our country as a whole. But I want to start by rolling it out to our local congregation first. It is a sad day in our country. This is just another reminder of the reality of where we really are in our country. And, we like to tell ourselves that we're much further along when we have days where the illusion is we're further along. But the reality of it is the dream that Dr. King has is turning into a nightmare because too many of us are still asleep. And so you have what happened the other day. Now, here's what I can tell you is that hate, love, those things are taught. When babies are born, they're not born knowing who to hate. They're not born knowing who to love. Somebody has to tell them, hate this group, love this group, do this as a sign of aggression or hatred, do this as a sign of love or acceptance. Those things are taught. My parents taught me at an early age how to love and who to love, what the expression of love looks like. We weren't even allowed to say the word hate in my house. And so those things are taught. The other thing I do understand is that we have to, as a country, we have to start paying attention. I'm looking at this Dylan Roof guy, and he's banned from the mall already. He has warrants already. The people at the mall had already said he had weird behavior, strange behavior. He was arrested for drug possession. He joked with his friends several times about going to start a race war, which, by the way, there's only one race, the human race, but I get what he's saying, a race between ethnicities. He jokes about taking this gun, and his friend, last name Meeks, his friend says, we didn't take him seriously. Well, that's a problem. You have to take him seriously, and as a whole, it's time for our country to take our country seriously. We have to pay attention. We have to start paying attention to the warning signs. Growing up, my mom and dad paid attention to stuff. If I'm outside in the backyard, just sitting in the corner, my mom and dad would come outside. What are you doing? Why are you just sitting off to the side by yourself? They would ask me, why are you dressed like that? Why are you acting weird? Why are you talking like that? Where have you been? And somewhere over time, we have just given way too much freedom to our children, way too much freedom even to our family and friends. We don't have this accountability like we used to have. We don't have this checks and balance system like we used to have. We need to pay attention to the warning signs and pay attention to the behavior going on around us. Here's one of the other things I want to say. And again, I'm not unfolding the plan today, perhaps next week, but I have to get these things out now. It's time for us to take ownership of our communities and ownership of our country. Listen, be the leader you wish you had. Be the change you wish to see. Don't just be the change, but do the change. What are we going to do? We have to make up in our minds that each and every one of us are called to do something. I can't sit back and wait on the next Dr. Martin Luther King, the next Nelson Mandela, the next whatever the leader is during your era, during your time. I can't sit back and wait on that person. I have to be that person. I have to now say, what am I going to do in my house? What am I going to do in my neighborhood? What am I going to do in my city? What am I going to do in my country? And your voice is not too small. You already have influence. If you can convince somebody to try a food that they don't even like, to go see a movie that they never considered seeing, then certainly you can convince somebody to put the gun down, somebody to sit down, relax, to pray, to do something. If one man can walk into a church, murder, and make international news, then one man can stand for something right and also make international news. We have to use the power of influence that we have, and we have to do something about it. I, for one, have to do something. I can no longer sit back. God has given me a voice, not just a voice in my house and in my neighborhood, but a voice in my community and a voice across this country. And so I've made up in my mind personally that I'm going to use the voice and the platform that I have to do something about the unrest, about the state of our country today that's not right. And so tomorrow at Valencia Christian Center, I'm going to give my official pastoral response to the state of our country today and an official call to action for those who claim to love it and really want justice and equality. I'm laying out a plan in church tomorrow that God has given me. I'm tired of sitting back and just praying about it. We have to do something about it. Tired of sitting back and wishing it was different and getting depressed because it's not, or sad because it's not. And I'm tired of living from tragedy to tragedy. We have a tragedy. We have all of these emotions. The emotions die down because there's a sale at Macy's, or there's a good basketball game or football game or baseball game, or there's a birthday party, and we quickly forget the tragedy until there's another tragedy. It's sad to me that one of the most packed Sundays in church was the Sunday after 9/11 happened. After 9/11 happened, everybody prayed. Everybody was kumbaya. Everybody was holding hands. A month after that, church attendance was back to where it's been before 9/11. And that's what happens. After every tragedy, we then kick it up a notch. Because we are an emotional people. We're very emotional, but we also suffer from short-term memory. And so you give it a few weeks, and we have forgotten about Dylan Roof. We have forgotten about the 9 lives that were lost in Emmanuel AME Church. We've forgotten the intensity that we felt, the disgust that we felt, the what we felt in regards to something has to change, until somebody walks into another elementary school, junior high school, office building, church, wherever, airport. Until something happens, then we're all worked up again. But here's my challenge to our country. What are we going to do now so that we don't live from tragedy to tragedy? What are you going to do? I know what I'm going to do. I'm getting ready to organize some rallies. I'm getting ready to organize some peace and unity marches. I'm getting ready to organize some peace events in our community. In Santa Clarita, I'm getting ready to call pastors. I'm getting ready to call our city officials. I'm getting ready to call everybody in the city, and I'm going to organize before the summer ends. I'm going to organize a rally in Santa Clarita that talks about standing together and unity. We cannot just let business as usual be okay anymore. We have to do something about it. We have to do something for this next generation. We have to do something for this current generation. All right, I could go on and on and on because I'm fired up, but this isn't a fire that's going to go out over time. I am going to do something. God gave me a voice, and it's time for me to act. Let me tell you something. Dr. Martin Luther King did not do all he did for me to just be happy about that. I now have to do something, and if I have to be Dr. Martin Luther King, then so be it. I have to go to a break. When I come back, I'm going to introduce my special guest, and then we'll begin to lighten the show up a little bit just for the sake of trying to calm down and relax. So I'll introduce my special guest after the break. You guys tell somebody to tune in because it's going to be a good one today. God bless y'all. Love y'all. See y'all in a couple minutes. Hey, y'all, I'm back. This is Marlon Saunders on the Marlon Saunders Show. KHTS 1220 AM, Santa Clarita's hometown station. Call me if you want to. Area code 661-298 KHTS. I'll give it to you again. Area code 661-298 5487. And so call me if you want to chime in and talk about what's been going on in the media lately. I'm disgusted. But I mean, did you also know that there were a few other senseless killings on that same day? And there was another one on Thursday. Guys, listen, let me tell you, it is time to do something. You have to do something. I have to do something. We can no longer sit back and just be disgusted. We certainly can't just sit back and just be hurt. We have to allow that hurt and disgust to drive us to action. Be the change you wish to see. Do the change you wish to see. You be the next Dr. Martin Luther King. You be the next whatever your hero is, whether it's a biblical hero, political hero, spiritual hero, civil rights, whatever it may be. You be that. You make the history books. You leave a footprint. I, for one, plan on leaving a heck of a legacy behind when I'm gone. A footprint in the sand. You will know Marlon Saunders lived. When it's all said and done, it will not be about my start date or the end date, but about that dash in between. When I'm gone on to be with the Lord, you will know I was here because life will be different before I leave this planet. You know, I said in the beginning, and I'll say it again, that hatred is taught. That's taught to us. Saw a great quote the other day that Ryan Dillon, he's not the root, he's the fruit. And so we need to get to the root of what happened. When children are born, they're born as blank sheets of paper. They have no sense of hatred or love or who to hate or who to love. Those things are taught to them. And over time, as they grow up, we tell them, don't like him, don't like her, don't like this group of people, don't do this, don't do that, don't do the other. We all have to take ownership of that. And let me say this before I introduce our special guest. My call in life is to build a multicultural church community, a multicultural community. I have to bring together blacks, whites, browns, so on and so forth. For me, it's not a black thing. It's not a white thing. It's not a brown thing. It's a Jesus thing. If you disagree with me, find your platform. Find your platform and work your platform, as long as your platform also leads to peace, also leads to resolution, also leads to healing. You may say, no, it's a particular group of people. We need to do this, that, or the other. But if your platform, if your stance is not furthering peace, then I challenge you to reevaluate your platform. In the hurt, we cannot hurt others. In the pain, we cannot cause pain. In my desire to be included, I cannot exclude anybody. I have to lead by example and be the change that I wish to be. Even as I raise my children, I have to teach them what love is. I have to teach them what equality is. I have to teach them what justice is, because they're coming after me, and every child should do more than what the parent did. That's perhaps one of the saddest things I see in our country today. The children are no longer doing more than what the parents did. The parents now are dying having done more than the child will ever do. That's not good. That's not good. I have to go further than my father, further than my mother. My sons, my daughter, they have to go further than their father and further than their mother, or else we are not getting this thing called life right. It should get better with every generation, not stay the same, and certainly not get worse. So you have to do more than your father did, more than your mother did. If you are a product of someone who marched, someone who sat in the rallies, someone who stood for something, you march more, you sit more, you stand for more, and make sure you accomplish more. I'm here today because I'm leading by example. I'm here today because I am being the change. I could have gotten any special guest today. I could have called anybody. I know a lot of people all over the world, in multiple countries all over the world. But I wanted today to do something very special. It's Father's Day weekend. Father's Day weekend. And so this morning, I woke my children up and I said, hey, you guys, how about you be the special guest on the show today? Way too excited. Almost made me nervous and scary. But today on the show, our very special guest, I could not have picked any better guests. Our very special guests are two of my three children. The third one is only two, so I don't really know what that would have done for you all. He probably would have loved it, but then again, it's not time. But the other two are here. My son is here, who's the oldest of the three. My daughter is here, who's the middle of the three. I want to introduce to you, y'all, our special guest today, my son, Mason, my daughter, Sydney. Give it up for them. Whoa!
I'm pretty awesome.
Wow. All right, so introduce yourself. Tell them how old you are.
All right, my name is Mason James Saunders. I am 8 years old, and I'm awesome.
Wow. Just wow. Give them your name and your age.
My name is Sydney Grace Saunders, and I'm 6, and I'm the prettiest inside the world. So I agree with that.
As you can see, my household is pretty fun, pretty funny. I asked them in the car on the way over here, I said, what do you guys want to talk about? And I don't even know if we really even got to an answer.
Craziness.
Talk about what do you... Go ahead.
Craziness and how awesome I am.
Whatever.
That's not a subject. That's not a subject for radio. Okay, let me ask you. Is it easy for you guys, and I know it's summertime now, but is it easy for you guys to make friends at school, or is it hard to make friends?
Easy.
Easy.
I'm always the one to ask the person if I can play in their group or something like that, and then a bunch of people just join us. And then I just have like a billion friends on the first day.
So let me ask you a question, Mason. You're 8.
Yeah.
What makes it easy? No, let me rephrase that. How do you go about getting friends? Like, what goes through your mind when you're like, I want to make friends? How do you do that?
I usually, like I said, I ask a group if I can play with them. And then they'll let me in. I'll play with them for a while, and then some other people will join in, ask what their names, what's their name, and then we're just friends after that. Really.
How easy is it for you to make friends, Sydney?
Easy peasy.
How do you do it?
Well, first I kind of like tell somebody if I can be their friend, and then people join, so
Yeah.
I just keep on getting more friends each time
Yeah.
we do something.
Do you and your friends ever disagree?
Yes, a lot.
If you disagree, do you stay not friends or do you make up?
Well, usually they'll say I'm not your friend anymore because I've seen this before. They'll say I'm not your friend anymore, and then next day they'll come to school like, "Hi, what do you want to play today?" It's like the next day they forget everything you said yesterday. It's weird.
Guys, if you're listening, I wish we could have the heart and mind of these kids. They fight, they disagree, but they make up. They make up and they become friends again. You know, too many times, you guys, in our country, we'll fight and that's just it. Don't talk to me ever again. Life is too short to hold a grudge. Let me tell you something. If you're serious about making this country a better place, then drop the grudges that you have against people. Let's start there. Let's start there. Let's not get distracted with other people's bitterness and anger and closed hearts and hard walls to where we neglect our own. If you're serious about making this world a better place, then why don't you drop the guard and call that friend who made you mad? Start there. Be the change. It's easy to look at somebody like a Dylan and go, I can't believe he did what he did. And trust me, I'm disgusted and can't believe he did what he did. But you know what? If you're serious, pick up the phone and apologize to somebody. Call somebody. Make up with your mother. Oh, well, you don't know what she did to me. Okay, well, either you're serious about this thing called peace and unity or you're not. You do your part. Stop waiting on other people to act right. You be the change. You be the leader. You be the one. My kids, you just heard them say they'll fight, but then the next day, hey, what do you want to play today?
Actually, it's like the next 2 days for me in Sydney.
For you, yeah. But you easily make up.
No, not really.
But you do make up after a while.
Well,
So
yeah,
mad
she'll
for
say,
deleting
yeah,
everything
she'll
there.
say like, I won't talk to you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 minutes later, she said, "Can you open this?" So,
But you see what's happening? You find something to work together on. You find something to come back together on, work together on. We're going to talk more. I got some good questions for y'all.
like,
Can I
opening
go to break
something.
first? Can I go to break first?
Can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
I'm awesome. Call me.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
So, I'm the awesomest inside this family, and
Not true.
once I prove something to my family, so yeah, I'm better.
Wow. With that being said, y'all don't go anywhere. We're going to come back out of the mouth of babes. Some craziness comes. I'll see y'all in a minute. Take a break. See you in about 2 minutes.